Acknowledge me.
You just made the list.
I am the BEST.
I'm better than you, and you know it. Damn.
Welcome back to Down Under the Mat podcast here in Madison Square Garage around the pool table of relevancy. To my right, Rowdy Reece. To my left, Mr. Daniel Danielson. I am Booker Ted. I just thought I'd change it up a bit.
that's good.
Keep you guys on your toes. It really screwed with my head, I'm not going to lie. Welcome to Down Under the Mat podcast. We're back for another episode of all things wrestling. And before we get into it, how's everyone's week been?
Yes.
Yes. Good answer. Let's get into it.
I got a raid on Destiny for the first time in a few months because Scott and Greg don't play anymore. So
don't they?
Nah, Scott went back to World of Warcraft.
They're above that.
Greg's just been busy. I had to take
Dude,
work
is he
off, so-
still playing World of Warcraft?
Yep.
Is that still a thing?
Yeah.
Wow.
They've planned their next 4 years of expansions and shit. But yeah, got to raid for the first time in a while, which is good. Made friends with a family over in New Zealand to raid with, the mother and her 2 sons.
Oh,
Cool.
Okay.
Nice bunch of people. So we got to do. They've introduced this challenge in Destiny where it's essentially a boss rush of different encounters in raids. First week's 4 encounters, next week's 5, then 6, then 7,
Yeah.
and it's all leading up to the new expansion that's coming out next month, which I'm fucking pumped for.
There's some
I've
game.
taken 3 days off work just to sit down and play this new expansion with Damo and Josh. So.
Keen. All right.
Yeah, exciting.
Far out. What about you, Dan?
I travelled to Melbourne for work
Yeah.
this week, fly in, fly out over a couple of days. Tired as crap.
Yeah.
Really takes it out of you.
I feel like you need to just take a week off and just go nowhere.
that would be lovely.
And just chill out at home.
I don't have that opportunity. I have a child and I have a job, and now I've got to acting up in a position for the next fortnight while one of my bosses goes to Thailand for a holiday for 2 weeks. Thanks, Dave.
Nice.
Appreciate that. So I'll do my job and his for the next couple of weeks. So I'll be busy.
So
Okay.
no podcasting anymore?
Well, I mean, I'm going to be catching up on wrestling very late at night.
I think this is his break from life.
This
By
is,
the
yeah,
sounds of
sitting
it,
in here
man.
being, away from everybody else. Other than that, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that are
Yes,
watching.
we should have
Happy
mentioned
Mother's
that
Day.
actually. Happy
is
Mother's,
Mother's
Day.
Day.
Yes, correct.
What about you, Ted? How's
Yeah.
your week been?
Yeah, it's been all right. Mainly just work. Just trying to catch up on work because I have leave next week to
you're
go
going
up to Queensland. Yeah. So I'm trying to get all my work, trying to get ahead of that. And we've got a visit from the boss's bosses the week after I get back. And he's away.
Lovely.
So
Okay.
yeah, just trying to prepare for all that. And loving all the amazing rain weather at the horse paddock. That's been great. Not
Yeah, because you were saying the other week that rain for horses is fine and cold for horses is fine, but
both
rain
is
and
bad.
cold is terrible.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's wet is fine. Cold is fine. Wet and cold not fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then
Poor
you
horses.
gotta rug them up and everything. So they got a bit wet the other day because we didn't know it was gonna rain, and then it got cold, so we had to really rug them up so they could get warm again. And then we stabled them, but then obviously during the day you can't leave the big rugs on because then they just sweat.
Okay.
So it's a bit of a balancing act. And obviously the paddock's also turning to mud, so there's not much to eat. So you
Where
gotta
is this
feed them a
paddock
lot more.
anyway?
Here in Canberra.
Obviously, but are you just going to...
I'd rather not say, man, because
No,
there
that's
have
fine.
been some
That's
people
fine.
in Canberra. I don't know if you saw, but there was some people a couple of weeks back who spray painted some people's horses.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not even a joke.
Why do people have to
some
be
morons
pieces
out
of
there
shit?
thought it was funny to.
Like tagging them?
Yeah, like tag
fucking
them.
idiots.
Yeah, and I don't know how
alright.
they
No, that's
didn't
fine.
get they whoever it was is an idiot because if you pick the wrong horse,
Yeah.
they would have had their head kicked off.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know how they must have somehow luckily picked the most placid horse, but I know I probably shouldn't say it, but if anyone ever did that to my horses, I would do things to you,
Yeah.
not good things. Anyway,
Buy them a cake.
it's been an okay week.
Smash their fucking head into it.
I'll slap them with a cactus.
With a cactus.
No, it's been an okay week. It's just been focused on work, and I actually missed Raw. I didn't watch it for the first time in
yeah,
a
same
long
here.
time.
I was
I
traveling.
sort of had to watch highlights and everything else.
So Reece is here for. He's up to date with all the shows.
That's why he's here.
He watched
Look,
NXT and everything for us.
And also, I've
I
seen
even
to
watched Lucha Underground this week. I'm pumped,
dude,
mate.
you're all over it.
I'm pumped.
I seem to have, because I was obviously sick a couple of weeks back. I still haven't shaken it completely. Still have a bit of a cough, so I do apologize.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, boys, we've been around each other. If you haven't caught it by now, you ain't getting it. All right, well, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
It's first on the agenda, man.
First on the agenda,
Woo!
Ric Flair.
Oh.
Changing his name to Karen Flair. He's gone full Karen. He's gone off in a restaurant. I can't remember the name of it.
Well, he said that he was going to buy it and call it Ric Flair's Italian Bite or something.
Yeah. But he was so dry. If you haven't seen the video, just literally search Ric Flair restaurant. It'll come up. There's videos everywhere.
I have not seen it.
Has anyone heard what sort of triggered him to go off as he did?
So wasn't it that he went
thought he was
to the bathroom and the manager or whatever was in the toilets washing his hands, and then Rick came out and the guy was still stayed in there washing his hands. So he went off at the staff because the manager or somebody was washing their hands for too long in the toilets.
No, it can't be that.
No, I'm
Come on,
serious.
mate.
Dead set.
Nah,
Dead set.
we're going to Google this. I'm sure that is the reason that it all started was because someone was
Because
washing
I
their
remember,
hands.
because I was
thought
watching a video where they tried to put up the subtitles, and I know there was a point there where in the subtitles it said something about bathroom, and I'm like,
no.
what are they talking about? He might be right, dude. He might be
I
right.
thought he just had a waitress be rude to him or something.
Nope.
Nah. More than likely, if it was a waitress involved, he probably flashed his parts at her, and she said, "Don't do that," and then he got
Is
offended.
this the
More than
same
likely. So
Story. Yes,
it's got to be
maybe?
right. It's got to be.
Because an issue I have with the kitchen manager taking too long in the bathroom. Flair addressed the argument in the morning show in Tampa. It escalated. I was wrong for getting mad, but it felt like I was defending my position. I was wrong for losing my temper. When I feel like I'm in that area where I'm uncomfortable and all of a sudden everything just fell apart, I got upset.
So because the manager was in the bathroom too long washing his hands.
Flair denied being drunk, although he admitted he had Michelob Ultra and probably 2 mixed drinks.
Probably. Can't remember.
Video begins with Flair and a bartender in an argument. Flair saying, "I didn't do anything wrong except spend money and put this place over and bring my family and friends here. This is bad for you."
This place over like it's a wrestling match.
The bartender asked why that would be the case, to which Flair said, "Watch social media tomorrow," seemingly hinting at his future Twitter post.
Yeah.
The bartender told Flair his name was Nicholas, which Flair replied, "Nicholas Dickhead."
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, that's
The two
terrible.
then discussed an interaction Flair had near the bathroom. Flair said on social media that the argument started because of an issue I had with the kitchen manager taking too long in the bathroom. Flair then offered the female bartender a $1,000 tip just to say to him, "Kiss my ass."
Yes, Rowdy.
Kitchen manager, right? Taking too long.
The story.
The chef.
yes.
So the chef was washing their hands.
Thoroughly. Because they are handling
Food. Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Jesus Christ. There's no problem
Hey.
here. Except Ric Flair, obviously.
Poo! I want some poo in my food, please.
I believe the next part of it. I'm going to keep reading the story.
That was pretty good. I'll give you that one.
That was good.
Dan was
That was better than Dan's draft comment.
Oh, was it though? Let's be fair.
I don't think so.
Flair then asked the bartender, obviously Nicholas Dickhead, as we've already known,
What a last name.
to take the discussion to the parking lot, which he declined as he was on the clock. Flair then replied, "You're on prick clock." Another patron of the bar said he would take it outside as he was not an employee and did not give a shit. That's when a female bartender asked that man to please stop. Flair posted on social media pleading to his followers never visit Pisano's, although he said he had food from there delivered via Uber Eats shortly after the altercation anyway.
So he still ordered food from the place. What the hell, man?
Must have been good food.
You know what? If I hadn't seen the video, I would have said that whole story was just completely fake and not real.
Oh, it's real.
And
that
it's
seems
very real.
100%
And it's
just
very
Rick
sad.
being Rick.
It's very sad.
Oh, man.
You know now that he'll have a tornado tag match against Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett in that
In a
Pisano's.
Pizza Hut
yeah.
place. Yeah.
Yeah. And he'll bleed and have a heart attack on the floor.
He did come out and say that he's sorry for losing his temper, but this is hilarious, Ric Flair.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
But I think the saddest thing was when you watch the video, because I'm assuming, I don't know if it was the kitchen manager that was behind the bar talking to him, if it was a bartender. Like
That would have
it's
been
not-
Nicholas
it's not-
Dickhead.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, Nicholas Dickhead.
Yeah.
Like Nicholas is just like, okay, sure, yeah, bud. Like the way he's responding, he's just like, I really don't care. Like, what are you? You're drunk and I don't give a shit. It's so awkward. It's
like,
so awkward.
The funny part would be as well if Nicholas Dickhead didn't. I mean, I'm pretty sure most people in America know who Ric Flair is. I think he knew who he was talking to.
Yeah.
But if he didn't, and he's just talking to some drunk old man, and he's just like,
Okay,
you'll find out this tomorrow. Thanks.
Thanks, mate.
Good on you.
Thanks, mate. It's pretty sad, man. It's pretty sad.
The funny
Rick.
Ric Flair is a parody of himself these days.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a few of them like that. There's a few. Anyway, anything else on that? I think that's it. I don't know what else to
Is that a good
say.
segue to talk about the learning tree?
Being a parody of himself. Do you know what? The worst part about this entire whole Chris Jericho learning tree character?
Is the fact that it's getting over.
Oh, I actually like it. Yeah, it's working. Sucks.
Oh, jeez. He's going to get you one more time, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's fully leaning into it.
Yeah.
He knows that,
Smart thing to do, I guess.
this is what we don't want him to do, so he's going to do it, and then we're going to hate it, and he's
And then we're
doing it.
going to love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Learning tree
I
in
just
my
love
mind.
this stuff coming out about Chris Jericho getting Death Rebel, but it's his own
It's
fucking
his
band.
choice, yeah.
I mean, hey, watch out, man. He did play at Wembley.
Fozzy have played Wembley
They
Stadium.
have played Wembley Stadium.
80,000 people.
Yeah.
Oh, they played
Wait,
Wembley.
70,000 people. Wait, 60,000
No,
people.
wait, it was 10.
12,000 people. I don't know. Whatever.
Can't remember.
Mate, they
Whatever's
played for
tattooed on Osprey's
60
arm.
They didn't even play the full song.
Actually,
Doesn't
it
count.
was whatever the it would have been get the total and at least minus it by 2 because Jack Perry and CM Punk had left.
They'd
by
already
then, so,
gone.
Yeah, they were gone. So
That's true.
yeah.
Hashtag real glass.
All right, let's get really quickly into a couple of our hometown heroes, not hometown, but homegrown heroes, I should say, because not Canberra, but Australia in general.
Australia.
You were saying, Dan, that Robbie Eagles are currently in Japan with the PWA title.
That's correct.
Soul of PWA.
soul.
Championship.
The soul, baby.
He's the soul man.
So he's over there for a tournament. Is that right?
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. He's a soul man. Sorry, I was going down a tangent there, and you didn't
I
let me
wasn't
go.
sure what song you were going for there, but I get it now.
Soul
Yeah,
Man.
I
You
once
got
you
it.
said that, but the beat was wrong.
Was it?
Yeah, wasn't quite right.
Fair enough.
Sorry.
Yeah, so he's over in New Japan at
Yep.
the Boss J31 press conference.
And this is he's been in this tournament a handful of times as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's hope he wins it.
But it's nice he's got the belt there too, though, repping that over in Japan. That's really cool.
Too bad it's not the
can you
Slam
show? Oh,
Pro
look at that!
Championship.
Look
There
at
he
that!
is. Look at him.
What a-
Suited up.
what a
nice little
stud
title on
muffin.
his shoulder.
This is the moment you hope that you don't get any awkward notifications come up on your phone as you're doing that.
Oh, yes.
You know, what you doing tonight, baby?
Yeah, you don't want to see the rest of my
Kissy
Instagram.
face. Why not?
Because it's all great selfies of me.
Oh, check out
Oh,
Dan Danielson.
The hotel that I was in Melbourne had like those fancy, those fancy mirrors in the hotel that have like the light in the mirror that you turn the thing on with another makeup mirror next to it. It's great selfie lighting. It really was. Anyway, as we were, Robbie
Wow,
Eagles, good
okay.
on you.
Good job.
Go win us
Tyler
a
there.
tournament on behalf of Australia.
Yes. What's the other local thing we're going to talk about?
Well, I was going to talk about the
EPW?
fact that the EPW title, Jesse Lambert, the teenage dirtbag. I'm just a teenage dirtbag, baby. As he beat Damian Slater for the EPW title. So
And that's
there you
like
go.
their heavyweight title, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
well, the one that was
'cause-
vacated, remember,
yeah.
because of the injury
was-
that we saw while in Perth.
That was so bad, man. I felt so bad for that dude. Because
Yeah.
he tried to muscle through it, but then he just made it worse.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I think it's a good choice because he seemed pretty popular, Jesse Lambert, when we were there. He got a good reception.
Well, what I
Slex
didn't
isn't a fan.
realize is EPW, that's essentially where TMDK was founded.
Was it?
Yeah. I remember seeing a post about it. I can't remember. I think it might have been.
Oh, you know, Damian Slater, because he did that post.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
the
'cause he-
EPW was
yeah.
like
Where they first
TMDK
started.
was founded in EPW. So that's
there you
why
go.
that happened at the end of the show and it was so prolific.
Yeah, okay, cool.
But then, like, why I'd never heard of that promotion until this year.
Because Perth's like literally
Yeah,
the other
well,
side of the world.
It's hours away. Why would we? Like, come on, man. I'm sure they've probably never heard of Slam. Unless you're a wrestler
it.
in there.
Oh,
So,
Mikey Broderick would tell him all about it.
Yeah,
I hope he does.
Slam's top
Mikey,
tier.
my boy.
They're the Pepsi of Australian pro wrestling.
And what?
And does that make PWA the Harvey? No, we're not going to say that. We're not going to go there.
And while we mentioned
go.
that, I think there's only a few tickets available for Slam on the 25th of May at
Yes.
the
Woden,
Southern Cross
Southern
Club
Cross
in
Club.
Woden. So check it out and come see us there and have a
Love
chat.
it. Love
Have a
us
drink.
Southsiders.
Watch some awesome wrestling.
Yep, come get a hat. maybe, I guess.
Yeah, we'll have to remember to take some hats.
Yeah, we probably should buy some
I
hats.
checked today. We're up to 118 subscribers on YouTube
Nice,
now.
look at us go.
Hey!
378 TikTok followers. We're
I'm
doing
not
pretty good.
doing a nice little thing for that. I'm
No, that's
saving
fine.
that for
Oh,
like
no, I'm just saying.
tears, you know,
Tears,
landmark numbers.
We're doing good. Thank you for your
Thank you.
continued support.
And please, as Dan said in his last diatribe,
Like,
on the last
comment,
episode, comment,
share.
comment.
Have we
Engage.
Comment.
plastered that all over TikTok and the internet just yet?
No, I said that's your job. It's your speech. I want you to.
What, I don't remember that being part
Oh, I
of the
don't remember that
conversation.
being part of the
I
conversation.
told you
either.
in the chat. I said your video's up. Feel free to go spread it.
I don't remember that part.
Oh,
I remember
I
you
didn't
saying
see
that you
that.
got your video, and I was like, cool. I didn't think I had to do anything
Your
more.
video's up, go spread it, man.
Do the-
You gotta read. Gotta read.
Not when you type.
All right, well, back to wrestling. And we'll move on. We'll move on to TNA now. We'll go overseas.
TNA.
This is your story, Dan, because you're talking about old mate Speedball.
Speedball Mike Bailey. It's his
Yeah.
contract year.
Yeah.
I think it's only thing that's an interesting thing because obviously we've had all of the free agency stuff with the Okada and Ospreay
Yeah.
and the like. I think Speedball.
Surely AEW's gonna pick him up.
I think he will. He had, I think, one, maybe two 5-star matches against Ospreay early or late last
He's had
year.
a couple of them.
He's had some really good matches with Josh Alexander and stuff. He's also like he does a ton of indie work too. Like that, I'm pretty sure on WrestleMania weekend I had a look and he had like 5 matches.
Yeah, he was at that GCW card.
He was at the GCW card, but like
Bloodsport.
he did like a match on the Thursday night, match the Friday night, a match Saturday, a match Saturday night, a match Sunday. Like he is a absolute weapon.
He's a speedball.
Speedball. He's also really good in the ring. So I reckon, when his contract comes up, I think he will cost TNA a lot more money, or Tony Khan will snap him up.
But, I mean, in saying that, and I think that transitions into the next bit we wanted to talk about with the comments made about
Oh, by Max Caster.
Max Caster about, they don't need Shelton Benjamin and obviously all these
Well,
other
like saying
signings that they made. And
Speedball is still very early in his career, so I don't think.
He's 33. He's not that early in his career.
Well, I've never heard of the dude until the last year or so.
Most wrestlers peak usually
Yeah,
in
in
their
their
30s.
30s,
Yeah.
Like this is when they start like hitting their prime. And
Rhea
you can tell by-
Ripley is, she's bucking that trend.
Yeah.
Tiffany Stratton and the like.
True.
Happy Mommy Day.
Yes, we should say that. Happy Mommy Day. Should have mentioned that.
But yeah, given like where Speedball's been going these past couple of years, he's just hitting his stride
Yes,
now. So
yes,
I
I
don't
agree.
he's for sure going to sign with AEW.
Yeah. So, Ted, though,
Okay.
you did bring up the Max Caster interview with CVV.
Yes.
I think that there is more context out there for people that watch the entire interview than just the clip that's going around social media.
Yeah.
Because CVV is a good interviewer. He gets the right information out of people. He straight up just says, so Shelton Benjamin, why don't you want him?
Yeah.
And Max answers in the way that people would think is maybe a little bit entitled and a bit of a sport brat mentality, but I agree with him in the sense that I don't want someone taking my spot.
Yeah.
Where
It was as simple as that. Don't want anyone else chewing up TV time except for the homegrown talent that AEW
and
has.
throughout the whole interview, he does talk a lot about him and Anthony Bowens being AEW created. They'd never been a tag team anywhere else.
Yeah.
So they weren't the Acclaimed on the indies that they were brought in. They were two singles wrestlers. They barely knew each other. They were both signed by AEW. They became the Acclaimed. They are homegrown talent.
Yeah.
Bringing in someone like Shelton, great, but what's Shelton done for AEW? Nothing.
Yeah.
All he's going to do is take 10, 15 minutes of a weekly TV show off somebody else that's already there.
Yeah.
And
They've
then
already got such a stacked roster that they're not
absolutely.
using, man. So, and I love Shelton. I'm a massive fan of Shelton Benjamin. Like,
yeah, and
love his
Max
work.
said this. He goes, "There's nothing personal against Shelton. I think he's good for what he's done, but we don't need him.
Yeah.
We've got a roster of people that are already doing the job. We don't need someone else." And then CUV specifically said, well, "What about your Ospreys, your Okadas, your Adam Copelands that you've been brought in?" And Max said that if they prove themselves and they prove their worth not only to the product but to the locker room, then he's fine. So he goes, Ospreay's come in, he's proved himself with all of his matches, he's done what he needs to do.
Yeah.
He's good. Okada hasn't really done as much just yet.
Yeah.
He's kind of instantly got into this top shelf spot with the elite and stuff.
Instantly
Somebody else
got a
could-
title.
Yeah, somebody else
Yeah.
could have done that too, but it's hard to take away Okada's 13 years in New Japan. Like his very big thing. So I agree with his sentiments, and I think the way that some people have blown it out of proportion online makes Max out to be a villain, and he's not really. He never really said that.
No.
But I think that happens a lot, though, where people don't see the whole thing and then things get blown out of context. It happens all the time.
And like the whole reason why CVV brought that up was like you look at the original comment that was made. Like he just straight up said, "No, we don't need him." When people mentioned Shelton potentially going to AEW, and then Keith Lee chimed in and says, "Don't speak on behalf of everybody." But now that we've got that interview with CVV, we've got a whole lot more context behind that comment, and it just makes sense. Like you need to put a shining light on your homegrown talent and stop bringing in new people to overshadow them.
But I mean, like to his point too, you look at the 4 pillars that they had, right? Sammy Guevara's out suspended still.
I seen stuff today that his suspension's done, but they just don't have anything for him.
Yeah.
That's why
So
he's not
again,
back.
there's why you're not using him as talent. He's homegrown AEW talent. Daniel Garcia, he's not one of the 4 pillars, but like him. Obviously, Darby is injured, but like,
keeps consistently getting
with the
injured.
he
broken
keeps
face.
coming up and then coming out, coming out and going.
MJF's
out
injured.
But like all of these homegrown talent that they've got, they're not investing stories and stuff in. Why are you bringing in people like Shelton or whatever to put stories behind when you don't need to?
Yeah.
Like that's the
exactly.
point, and that makes sense. The funnier part, I think, of that conversation that he had with CVV was when they were talking about the Acclaimed and how much help like someone like Billy Gunn has been for them.
Yeah.
And how when they started to become the Acclaimed, they did the Sesame Daddy.
Yeah.
And they were told they didn't want to do it. And he was like, well, we can try and do different things instead of because they're the Acclaimed, right?
Yeah.
So it was always the Acclaimed have arrived. So it was always the Acclaimed.
Yeah.
So then he decided I could start like milking it instead or, doing other different things. And obviously that wasn't appropriate. So they ended up going back to scissoring.
And look
but
how
also,
popular it became.
Super appropriate.
well, but also he said as soon as you got the crowd and the crowd started making their own cardboard cutout scissors, it was a thing.
obvious.
It's too late. It's gone.
Yeah.
Which I think is funny to see how maybe an organically thing created by the wrestlers that maybe the company doesn't necessarily want to get over. The crowd will do it anyway.
Yeah.
You can't stop the crowd.
But see, Billy Gunn, I would argue, has actually been useful since working with AEW because he hasn't necessarily been in the spotlight. He's literally been an associate. You know, like there's been parts in the story like when he untied his boots and all that kind of stuff. But other than that, he's literally just been a support. He hasn't been
he was
front
there
and center.
There to bring up his songs and get them ready and like elevate them.
Yep,
Then
which
he
he's
moved
done.
over to the Acclaimed to
Yeah.
help elevate them. They held
And he's done
Australia's
that.
titles. So he's
And
doing his job.
he's doing
And, like,
training behind
that's
the
the
scenes.
way
Yeah.
like when he started there. Had matches like here and there back in the early stages of AEW, but he was doing more backstage stuff to help bring up the talent, do backstage things, and then started to become a bit more of an on-screen character. So
Yeah. And isn't
that's
he
the
in his
situ-
60s now? Or
And that's
60?
what I was
He's
just
pretty
thinking.
old.
Like he is
He is 60.
But he is fit, man. Like he looks good.
that's
He looks good.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even Max said, he goes, it's difficult going out there as the Acclaimed because like he has to talk and do the rapping and stuff. But then Billy Gunn's this tall.
Yeah.
Anthony
He's a
Bowen's
unit.
this wide.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of there.
Yeah. But it works, man. It works.
does, 100%.
They like, and back to his comments, like, yeah, I have to agree. I think he's on point. And, we already said, right, it was a lot of it's been taken out of context, but he's on the point in the sense of if you bring someone in, they've got to do something. It's no good spending, like,
Mercedes
obviously,
money.
yeah, well, I mean, that's a good example. But, I mean, you look at Adam
You're right there,
Copeland,
you're right.
right?
I'm okay.
You look at Adam Copeland. We've been pretty critical, right? But he's front and center. He's having matches. He's there every week,
He's elevating talent.
right? And then you got ones like Mercedes. She hasn't even wrestled yet, for crying out
We're
loud.
the best wrestled. That's why she hasn't wrestled.
Because she's not the best.
It's it's a bit sad. And then, I mean, there's others as well that we've probably forgotten have even signed with AEW in the past that just haven't wrestled
Miro.
because there's been no space. I mean, look what happened to
Miro,
Andrade, man. He's
Keith
back
Lee.
at WWE.
Keith Lee.
Keith
Even
Lee.
Dustin Rhodes.
Yep.
Yep. There's a lot, and they're just, it's too stacked. Anyway, we won't get into it. We've talked about it before, but yeah, very interesting. We'll keep on AEW. We'll keep on AEW.
Yes, sir.
Forbidden Door, Dan.
Yes. It's a pay-per-view. It's coming up soon.
It is a pay-per-view, but it's a word that they don't use at WWE. They don't use that silly
they don't
word.
use that word, no.
Forbidden Door.
I think the main thing with it this year that I'm hearing rumors around is the fact that they're going to start including Stardom and CMLL in the Forbidden Door
Yep.
as well. Because traditionally it's just been New Japan versus AEW.
Yeah.
But who's the New Japan heavyweight champion? It's Jon Moxley.
Hooray.
So,
Right.
but how does the New Japan champion have a match against the AEW champion? and if they're both AEW wrestlers, it's
That's
not
fine.
really Forbidden Door, right?
No, not really.
So maybe you're going to have to look at putting Mox against someone from CMLL or something else
Yeah.
and shifting things around and making it a bit interesting because
Okay.
the amount of cross talent, I think, and that you've seen recently, especially also with essentially Tony Khan buying all the good stuff out of New Japan. Like
Yeah.
the last couple of years, it's been who versus Okada, who versus Ospreay, who versus Shingo, who versus whatever. If half of them are now part of AEW roster,
Yeah, then it's no longer a Forbidden Door because he's buying up everybody.
yeah. So it's a good idea for a pay per view. I'm interested to see what diversity they have to do now to make those matches,
Yeah, okay.
those kind of dream matches that you don't see all along. Because now you can see Bryan Danielson versus Okada because they're both signed.
They're already there.
It could be on Collision next week. Who knows? Depends who's booking the show.
The longer we go,
Speaking
the less
of-
Forbidden Door it becomes, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're all going to end up there anyway. And Tony will be broke.
Yes.
Because he just keeps
Oh,
signing
no,
everybody.
he's got oil money, doesn't he?
He's got billionaire money. I do want to just touch on the booking part there.
Yeah.
We won't go too much into detail on Dynamite. We've already shit on the learning tree as it is. The one problem I have with Dynamite, and I hate being this guy, but I'm going to do it again.
I don't think you hate it at all. I think
I
you
kind
really
of
relish
like it. It's fun.
Oh, it's fun.
On TikTok, I've been argued with several times about the fact that I say that AEW doesn't do stories very well.
Yeah.
They do great matches, but their booking and their storylines aren't as good as some other companies. Supposedly they've got their storyline set for the whole year, which is nice.
Okay.
And I
Good to
think
hear.
that they're building towards something good, right? They are, contrary to what WWE is doing, they're building the heel authority figures, obviously in the Elite, which I quite like the way they're doing the storyline with the Elite at the moment.
It's panning out pretty well so far.
They're building to the Anarchy in the arena for Double or Nothing,
Yep, in 2 weeks.
which I hope will be a line in the sand on who controls AEW, right?
Line in the sand. Sorry, I had to add that
A
in
bit of
there.
evolution there for you. Because the problem with on
I had too many. He said line in the sand.
On
it's like
Dynamite
when you,
this
it's like
week.
when you say the word phenomenal. La, 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 la. Sorry, continue.
that was a fucking flashback. That was on Dynamite. Edge was talking about his match with Brody King, and he said, I texted Tony Khan because Tony Khan can't come to the shows because he's got his neck braced. He's got to stay in Jacksonville. But he's made this match now a no disqualification match.
Yeah, right.
So Tony Khan still booking matches. Kenny Omega then came up for a video thing where he's in hospital saying, the Elite did this to me and stuff, but that's fine. We're going to book this Anarchy in the Arena match, and it's going to be the best tag team that AEW's ever seen, FTR, and their two partners will show up before the end of the show. So Kenny Omega's booking matches. And then the Elite came out, and they obviously said that they've been booking matches for the last couple of weeks, putting people through. So the Elite's also booking matches and doing this up. So how do you have 3 different people on the one show booking matches? This is a mess.
But does it shock you though for the fact that
yeah.
the stories are all over the place and
But that's
they don't intertwine very well?
That's my
and
point.
it makes sense that there's more than one person booking.
Yes.
I'm
So I
pretty
hope-
shocked.
Speaking of,
Yeah.
can we talk about how mishmash that bloody team is?
Yeah.
Why are Danielson and Kingston on the same team when they were
Hashtag
just-
Team AEW.
Yeah, why are they on the same team where they were feuding like 2
Yeah,
weeks
that
ago?
doesn't make sense.
Because Kenny picked him.
Right. Because Kenny picked them. So that makes it okay.
Look,
Interesting.
it'll be a great match. I think the Anarchy. The one thing I will say out of this is that I hope that this Anarchy in the Arena match is an absolute cluster F like AEW likes to do, and it goes everywhere. Everyone bleeds. It's the main event's
Hopefully they
horrible.
have just like split screens so we can just watch
Yes.
split screens.
I hope
But
so.
I hope that this means that the winner of this, either the Elite side or the Tony Khan side, gets control of AEW. And then one of them books. And hopefully it's the Elite, and then they
Yeah,
can
that would make the most
book
sense.
everything their way. But I just don't like the fact that at the moment that you've still got Tony booking, you've still got Kenny booking, you've still got all these other stuff. Just pick one of them. Just make it the Elite. And the Elite can be your heel authority figures, and they book all the matches, and they're the bad guys until Kenny Omega is fit, and Hangman Page is fit, and whoever you want to come back, and they eventually beat the Elite, and Tony Khan comes back.
Okay.
That's what I would like.
And
This
then he
to play
has
out.
an in-ring match.
He did say he won't do it.
No, thank God for that.
Please,
Please no.
Please don't.
Well, look, you mentioned Kenny Omega, and
I did,
I actually had a
several
point in
times.
here about kayfabe Kenny because he does a lot of his talk on Twitch, like we
Yeah.
talked about last time, and he's been saying a few things because
He played
he's
Street Fighter yesterday. I was watching
Street
it for a bit.
Fighter.
Yeah.
Sick.
Oh, he's cosplayed as Street Fighter characters so often.
Yeah, no, but he was playing it. And it was fun watching him
Well,
on Twitch. Get frustrated like everyone else does.
If kayfabe Kenny just happens to be watching this, I am still playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Best game ever, mate. Because he's a massive fan of Final Fantasy VII. If you boys didn't know that,
I did.
One Winged Angel, mate. One Winged Angel is from.
Yeah, I'm not an idiot.
That's debatable. LA Knight got married. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, one fucking time.
Oh man, we all have our moments. Well, look, I'm just because I think Kenny's doing really well with his stuff on Twitch because he's really blurring the lines between
He really
reality
is.
and kayfabe. Because obviously he's now been making mention about Ospreay and saying that Ospreay calling himself the King of Japan when Omega considers himself the King of Japan. Obviously, I think he's building to a
something.
feud, which is
Yeah.
awesome because obviously Omega versus Ospreay. I mean, come on, man.
7-star classic.
Yeah, it will be.
Seven,
Probably be
30,
10 star.
32 stars.
And
Thanks,
speaking
Dave.
of stars, he also mentioned on his Twitch, he actually was quite critical of Dave Meltzer,
Yeah.
which was interesting because I don't know if this was kayfabe because the way he talked about it,
I think
seemed
he's been
quite
100%
this is
serious. Yeah, 100% serious.
Yeah, and saying about the fact that Dave Meltzer has lost all perspective and that he himself, Kenny Omega, is partly to blame
Yes.
for Dave Meltzer now having absolutely no clue with how he's rating matches.
Yeah.
So essentially saying that obviously his time in Japan and the amount of 5-star matches he's gotten, it's just absolutely skewed the scale.
100%.
But it just intrigues me because obviously Dave Meltzer's very closely working with AEW and Kenny Omega is part of
But like
the
even
EVP. Like he's
even
an
Will
EVP,
Ospreay's
so-
come out recently and said disparaging things about the star rating system. Like it's just it's
Well, yeah,
busted,
'cause
it's broken.
Ospreay said-
Especially like props to WWE for getting their first 5-star match in a while with Cody and AJ.
Yeah.
But like, how do you rate that 5 stars and look at the entire history of WWE?
Hmm?
Like Cody versus Roman didn't get 5 stars.
Nah.
Why? It doesn't make sense.
And
Like,
that's what I
things
said
don't
to you
work out.
guys.
Like it was a really good match at Backlash.
Yep.
But for that to get 5 stars over the WrestleMania match,
And
Doesn't make
I mean,
sense.
you can even argue, and I think we talked about this, how, and again, I don't want to shit on Cody versus AJ because it was a good match. It was a very good match. But I would argue that even Sammy versus Gunther just at the last WrestleMania was a better match if you look at the overall
Yeah.
of the match. So his rating system just doesn't make sense anymore.
But
I think he needs to start again.
That's why I said with you guys, in the way that his rating system had worked. If you go back to matches in the 80s, there was only a handful. In the 90s, there was, I don't know, 10 or 15 matches that all got 5 stars. And then in the early 2000s, there was still not a lot that were 5-star matches. And obviously things that the general wrestling audience would say is a 5-star match. Kurt Angle versus HBK at WrestleMania. Should have been 5 stars, wasn't. Kurt versus Brock matches. Kurt versus Eddie matches.
Yep.
Undertaker versus Shawn.
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Yeah.
Undertaker versus Triple H. The
Yeah.
end of an year. All of those things, the general wrestling audience would say those were 5-star matches.
Correct, yeah.
None of them were for Meltzer. And then, like what Kenny said, he came along and broke the rating system. Because he was doing tiger drivers and suplexes and he was blading or bleeding.
All the
he was
stuff
going
that
through
Meltzer
tables,
loves.
All this kind of stuff. In a 30-minute match, non-stop action between him and Okada, him and Ospreay, him and whoever else in New Japan. And Dave was just 5-star, 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 5-star.
5.5, 6 stars.
And all of a sudden, the ratings then got to the point where I can't just give this 5 stars because I've seen Kenny do this 6 times already. This is now a 5.5-star match. And then when Kenny does the same thing, well, I can't give that 5.5 because that was what he did then. I've now got to give him 6 or 7. And once you've done that, your rating system is broken. It's gone.
Yeah.
And we've known this for so long as well.
And I mean, a couple of weeks ago, Dynasty, that Ospreay versus Danielson match was brilliant, 6.5 stars. But how do you rate that 6.5 stars against something like Cody and AJ that is a 5-star match? Why is that 1.5 stars better?
Yeah.
Like
I don't know.
you said it as we were
Yeah.
watching it. It was almost like a carbon copy of some of the spots.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
I
Is
think
that
he's at a
maybe
point.
why it got the 5 stars?
But I think he's at a point because it's always like, 4, 4.25, 4.5, 4 3/4. I don't think there's enough gaps between. Like you really
Yeah.
need to stretch out 5 stars to a score out of 10 kind of thing, and then you've got to have matches that are between 8 and 10, which are really awesome, but it's like 8.2, 8.5,
Yeah.
I think that's where the problem is that because if you rate something 4 stars or even less than 4 stars, people now look at that and go, oh, well, that means it's not that good.
But it's 80%.
Because if you look at it right,
Yeah.
if you look at Damien versus Jay at Backlash, he rated it 3.
Yeah, I think.
might have just been over
no,
3.
he had higher ratings for his Backlash. We can actually talk about
Yeah,
that.
no, but I think it was 3. It was either 3 or 3.25 or something.
No,
It was-
I
it
think
was
the women's
lowest,
tag match
wasn't
got
it?
a 3
Yeah.
I will find his ratings for Backlash.
Okay.
because
right
of the
now.
Kabochi Warriors.
Oh yeah,
Kabochi
that didn't help.
Warriors.
But look, I think it's too tight now to rate it, and
Yeah.
I just It's hard.
Just
What,
stop
you know
doing
what
it.
gets me?
It's plain. and
What
simple,
gets me
just
though
stop
is when
doing it.
people write on the internet, "Oh, Dave Meltzer awarded the match this many stars." I'm like, awarded? He
Did
rated
they
it.
get a trophy?
He rated it. He doesn't
Did
award
they get
anything.
stickers?
So Bloodline, Backlash ratings. The Bloodline match versus RKO, RKO,
RKO. RKO.
4 3/4.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's almost a 5-star match.
Yep.
And that was a banger.
Bailey,
good match.
Tiffany, Naomi was 4.5.
Yep.
Damien versus Jay was 3.5.
Three and a
Okay, there we
half.
go.
Yeah. Which, if you think, what point was with that was that, if, as you said, right, 3.5 out of 5 is actually a good score.
Yeah, that's a good score.
Like, that's not a horrible score. And that, but I have to admit, I don't think that match was necessarily that good.
No.
No, it was saved by the last 60 seconds from Jay. That was
correct.
brilliant.
Correct.
So yeah, that was the pre match. Sorry. Then the women's match, the tag match was 3 stars, and
Yep.
then Cody AJ was 5.
Yeah, because you sort of look at it and go, 3 is like good. If
Three's
you go,
fine.
if you, 3 is like
three's
you're,
good, yeah.
you're over 2.5. You're over 50%.
Yeah.
So we're good. But I think now people look at it and go, if anything's below 4, it says it's a bad match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
because
you have
it's
to score
skewed.
minimum 4 for it to be
Yep. Agree.
considered a decent match. So, yeah, look, it's just interesting, as I said at the beginning of the conversation about this, is that Omega being so open about it, I just find very interesting, because obviously Meltzer's very close with AEW.
And was it you, Reece, that shared, or did I share the video of all of the people talking about the Meltzer ratings,
I think
like the
it was you.
wrestlers, and like Seth Rollins is like,
No.
he won't even, don't even say his last name. I don't
Yeah.
want to talk about it.
I remember seeing that on the
Yeah.
Impulsive.
Ospreay came out and just said, "Look, I love the recognition that I get, but
Yeah.
my favorite wrestler ever is Kurt Angle, and if he never got a 5-star match, then
Yeah.
how do I?"
It seems all the wrestlers are the ones who are like, why are we talking about this? And it's only us fans who
Yeah,
are
for
like,
sure.
Meltzer's off his head. And they're all like, we know, we don't want to talk about it. So maybe we should stop talking about it. Staying on AEW, though, and this one, we got to mention it. Apparently Sky Blue was
Yes,
harassed at a show in the last week.
Yes.
By
So that
fans.
was Rampage taping.
Right.
Yeah, so to set the context for the crowd as well, Dynamite on Wednesday was in Edmonton in Canada.
Same time as an Oilers game.
Same time as an Edmonton Oilers Stanley Cup finals match.
Yeah.
Right.
So there was major worries to start with that a bunch of people were going to leave halfway through the tapings
Yeah.
because the hockey started.
Well, I mean, it is in Canada and it is playoffs. So
And it's that
that's
hometown. So
that's
it's
fair
like-
enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing too is normally Edmonton hire out that stadium that AEW was in for a
Right.
watch party.
Oh, right.
So normally when they're away, because it wasn't their home game, it was their away game
Yeah.
at Philadelphia, wherever they were playing, they would have then had that whole stadium open with 20,000 people from
Interesting.
America watching that hockey final together as their watch party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they couldn't because it was booked out by AEW.
Interesting.
So they were worried that people weren't going to show up to this AEW taping because everyone was going to go watch the hockey instead.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
And
But
that's
from the looks
why-
of it, it looks like they had a decent crowd.
They did, but that's why a lot of the fans were in hockey jerseys and stuff. And
Yeah.
then by the
And
time
they
it gets to
seemed
this,
pretty rowdy. Like
were.
the kickoff shot for AEW was
the
yeah, like the lady's wearing like a racer tank top, and the guy that she's with just like rips. She had like a crop top on underneath,
Yeah.
but still like
she
that
flashed
kicking off.
first, I think, and then he reflashed her.
Yeah,
If I remember correctly.
So the crowd sounds like they might have been drinking a bit and were pretty.
Yeah, so
okay.
the guy in question had a couple incidents that night. He was on the hard cam side, so I can't remember who was the match. I think it was Mariah May versus Danielle.
Oh
with,
yeah, and that's why
Soraya
Paige was out.
at
So
ringside.
Yeah.
She called him out a couple times during the match because he was making comments at them in the ring.
Yep.
And then later on that night, Sky Blue had her match, and she was yelling at the dude. Aubrey Edwards had some words with security, and they went over and had a couple words to him, and then he ended up getting escorted out. And then like the
You know it's got to be bad if you end up getting kicked out of the building, man.
and the flow-on effect on social media as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I saw the post from Chelsea Green.
Yeah.
I think it was someone that was sitting near the guy made a comment. How about you guys stop dressing so skimpily? Essentially, like
Dude, what is this, 1942 or
the
something?
women have been wearing outfits
what
like
is
this for
going
the past
on?
20 years. What is the problem these days? Like,
But also
that's
it's
just
a-
what they wear.
It's a sport, man.
Yeah.
Like, what? Do
a
women have
sport.
to cover themselves from head to toe? Like, you go play a sport covering yourself from head to toe and tell me you don't sweat like a pig.
And
Like,
this is what Chelsea.
come on,
Green
man.
interjected. She came out and she was like, "How about instead of us having to change the way that we dress, stop being creepy pervs and chauvinistic about it,
Absolutely. Yep.
and just sit and watch the sport." And I also saw Ava make a post about it, which I assume was in correlation because it came out just after it. So I did grab that. So she posted on Instagram, when I first started wrestling, my own mother came to one match and then said never again because she couldn't stand the awful things men yell at you. And it just doesn't end ever for any of us. F them all.
Yep. Look, I'll have my input here too. We said something very similar to this a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not comparing. It's apples to oranges, but I'm just going to mention them both in the thing. When Sheamus came out that first week, and a bunch of the internet and everybody started fat shaming him because he was fat. That's personal attacks on a person. Don't do that, right? You, as your paying member and a paying ticketed member of an audience, you have every right to express your feelings towards the match, and you yell and you can chant and you can cheer and you can call the heel out and you can say that you hate the heel, you can boo them, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But the second you start getting personal with a wrestler, you've gone too far.
Yeah.
And the fact that men like this can't keep it in their fucking pants and not have to say sexual and derogatory things towards women wrestlers is disgusting.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, it'd be the same that I would say this if women were doing the same thing to men.
Yeah.
That, you know, guys walk out there in their underpants and they get wolf whistled and stuff the whole time. It doesn't matter which sex it is. I don't want to pick one side or the other.
Yeah.
You should not be doing this in the crowd. You go to a wrestling show,
Yeah.
you can cheer, you can boo, you can chant
Mate.
along to the songs. That's what you're there for.
Yeah.
Don't be personal. Don't be perverts. Don't be sick people.
I
in the
can
audience.
put money on it, right? And you know, obviously, I've said this before. Morgan's watched wrestling with me now.
Yeah.
When we watch it, I guarantee you that she's looking at those wrestlers and thinking in her head, "Damn, that wrestler is hot and
of course.
sexy and everything." She doesn't yell anything derogatory, right? And guaranteed, blokes do the same thing. Like, I'm not gonna. I go to a wrestling show, and sometimes they wear quite revealing stuff. There's no problem in your head of going, "Well, that's quite attractive."
There's no
But
need to like.
You
make
don't need to
comments
then
about it.
yell out something just stupid, like.
And I've
And it
also
always,
heard-
it always takes just one person to ruin it and just be absolutely stupid. Like, it just is ridiculous. But I'm glad they kicked him out. That's the main thing.
I've seen
I'm glad
reports that
something
the guy
done.
was there with his child as well.
Yeah, I
so
did see
how
that
is
too.
that going to
Oh,
impact
you're
him
joking.
moving forward? 'Cause
Seriously?
he's going to see his dad doing that and then think it's okay. So
Well, hopefully he-
it just breeds that for the next generation.
Well, hopefully he saw his dad getting kicked out.
Yeah.
And then goes, I don't want to do
Hopefully he's embarrassed of his dad.
that. Oh, just don't do it. It's just bad. However they want to dress. But then you get the opposite too, right? And I don't want to get too social justice warrior on it, but then you get the opposite where you'll have female wrestlers who dress very masculine, and then they'll cop shit for that too, for being masculine. Like, 'cause
Rhea Ripley has
Ripley's talked about it
so many times in the
she's
past.
talked about it.
So many times.
Oh, you look like a dude. You look like a man. Like, they can't win, no matter what they do. Either they look
ridiculous.
too feminine or they look too
And
masculine.
then
Or
you look at what was it? A couple of months ago when Rhea did the
Oh,
Stink-
yeah.
stink
Yeah,
face
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And she copped stuff left, right, and they did turn into a bit of an angle with Becky Lynch and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, why can't she do that?
yeah,
It gets the crowd cheering. It makes everyone laugh. It's a fun spot.
You get the funny moment with Shayna beckoning her on, but
Yeah.
she gets Nia Jax instead.
yeah,
that was
like,
funny.
That's
That
a
was
funny
good.
spot.
Yeah.
But then there would be people that would then take that too far, be it, internet keyboard warriors or whatnot. It doesn't matter who it is. Yeah, it's such a fine line, especially when you talk about anything sexual around like people and how am I trying to say it? Like when you sexualize someone to a point where you put them up on a pedestal above what they should be, and then some people make inappropriate comments around that kind of stuff and think that they're allowed to just because they're walking around in a bikini. I'm allowed to make that. No, you're not.
No.
Yeah.
Just because that's what they, like you said, it's more comfortable for them to wrestle in less clothes. It's easier. It breathes better. It's better for them. They don't have to wear pants and stuff, so
Yeah.
they can move around better. It's a reason why guys wrestle in underpants and stuff the whole time. Like it's just
exactly.
easier to do. That doesn't give you the right to then sexualize them and call that out to them and be rude and inappropriate. Just it's horrible.
Exactly. But I'm glad that everyone's been backing her up. That's
Yeah.
the main thing. So good to see. As I said, again, the fact that he got kicked out, that was the best response that they could have.
Correct.
And sticking on to AEW, you were saying, Reece, Chuck
Yes.
Taylor apparently is being forced to retire. Is that right?
He is. Initially, people thought this was just an angle for the storyline that they're doing with
The best friends and
Yeah.
Trent Beretta.
Trent Beretta. That's the one. I just had a look to confirm what type of injury it is. It looks to be an ankle injury. Which for
Jeez, that must be a bad injury
Yeah.
for that.
So I think because he's just come back from an
the-
ankle
yeah.
injury,
Yep.
and then they had that backlot brawl match. So I'd say that it got re-aggravated, and then
Yeah,
it's
right.
now to the point where he's got to retire.
Oh, dude, that's bad. But you know what? That actually doesn't shock me because I got a member of my family actually who's ex-defense, and they got an ankle injury, and it actually never healed properly. Injured it again and again, and that's it. Like, they can't do surgery anymore. It's pretty much been told, like, nah.
Yes, this
done.
is as good as you're going to get.
Yeah, you're not going to get any better. So now that I think, and also the fact that obviously ankles are pretty important for walking, which is a pretty important aspect of wrestling. So that's really sad, man.
Yeah, it's pretty shit.
Because he's not that old, is he? He can't be.
No,
He'd
they
be early 30s.
maybe 30s, yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, Orange Cassidy's older than you think he is. He's nearly 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Well, look, I hope AEW look after him though, if that's the case.
Yeah,
Like, I hope
I'm
he gets
sure,
some sort of backstage role.
I think I read that he's been getting trained for producing and all that sort of stuff. So
Fantastic.
he'll transition into a backstage role. So that's good for him.
Okay.
Just touching on injury related stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned Wesley. Yeah.
in NXT just returned last week from his injury. They did a massive promo package and he had his first match back on NXT this week, which he won. I'll just give a quick summary of what his injury was and why it's
Get ready for. You might need a pen and paper for this
why
one.
it's such a miracle that he's back as soon as he is. So
Go for it.
in the promo package to hype up his return, they stated that he had 3 ruptured discs in his back, affecting 2 different nerves, numbness from the waist down, and he had muscle atrophy on his right side. So he cut a promo a while ago. He was in the ring with crutches and he was like
Yeah, I
crying. And
saw
he
that,
said like he was in pain just there talking about the fact that he has to go out and get surgery. So it took them a 3-hour surgery with microdiscectomy. Hopefully I'm saying that right.
So, as soon as you say the word micro, I feel like this is a bad thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lower back microdiscectomy of the L3, L4, and L5 discs.
Jesus.
So they were saying that he was going to be out minimum 12 months.
Yep.
Potentially never able to wrestle again. And the fact that he's returned and is wrestling within that 12-month time frame is crazy.
That is incredible.
Like for him to come back and he looked like he hasn't missed a beat in that ring. He looked
Awesome.
fantastic.
Glad
Like
to see him back.
from the return last week, he came in through the crowd, hopped on the barrier, leapt onto the steps, then got in the ring to confront Obafemi. So
Yeah.
he was North American champion just before he had to go out with that injury.
Yeah.
So I'd say
That's
they're
right.
going to build to him getting that title back
Fantastic.
for sure.
Well, congratulations to him and good to
Yeah,
see him
it's
back.
great to
'Cause
see him back.
I mean, I'm not a doctor of thugonomics, but that doesn't sound good. Like,
No,
that's a
not
pretty
at all.
anything to do with the spine, man. That is like
Yeah.
dangerous territory. So good on him. Sticking actually other NXT news.
Yes.
Alicia Taylor,
Yes,
the announcer
Alicia
from
Taylor.
NXT, has now been brought up to
So
SmackDown.
her and Mike Rome have traded spots.
Interesting.
And she got a big send-off after NXT this week. She got a replica title belt given to her
Yeah, I saw
to
that.
commemorate her time in NXT.
Okay.
And just from watching SmackDown yesterday, she's going to fit in well.
Yep.
It's the first time we have ever had 2...
Dan's got something to say about this. I can feel it.
Oh.
I can feel it. Go on, Dan.
Take it away.
The floor is yours.
Take it away.
I'm not.
Shit on the golden moment.
I don't want to.
He doesn't want to do it.
Shit
He
on
doesn't
the
want to do
golden
it.
moment.
Can I
First time to ever have
jump?
2 black
Can
female
I jump on your side
announcers.
because I think no, I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna because
Yeah.
I
Please
may
do.
agree with you.
Please do. Yeah.
My biggest problem, and Morgan and I discussed this when we were watching it.
Yep.
She can't try and be Samantha,
That's my problem. Yeah.
and that seemed to be. I don't know what she was like on NXT, but on a SmackDown, she was trying to emulate Sam, and I'm kind of like be your own, like
Yeah.
do your own thing.
And she's been doing that for a while now.
This
Yeah,
was
okay.
always going to be my problem when I'm not saying she's bad at all. She's very good at her job. She's not as good as Samantha Irvin, and the problem is now Raw has Samantha, and then SmackDown has Alicia, and they're both kind of the same, but Sam's better. There's no real differentiating thing between the two of
Yeah,
them as to
she's
why
try-
they're different.
she's trying to
They're
announce
both
the
really
same
good,
way. Yeah.
But like when it was Mike Rome as the guy's voice with the long booming things, or Justin Roberts, or whoever else it was, compared to Sam, it was very contrasting. You could tell who was different, who was. Now it kind of feels like they're going for the same style across both shows, but one of them is better than the other.
Yeah.
I don't like that, and I hope that isn't a detriment to her on SmackDown. In that people can go, yeah, you're really good, but you're not Sam Irvin.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to be a
fair
problem.
point.
And I'm not.
Yeah.
That's not me trying to have a go at her for her being
No.
bad. It's just when you're comparing, things to like the gold standard right now,
Yeah.
you're always going to look worse.
Yeah. But I guess it's also, can you blame her? Because you look at it and go, well, if I want to be good, I should be like the best.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's hard, isn't it? Because you're kind of like, well, yeah, it's not a bad idea to copy the best person.
Yep.
But then, yeah, as you said, like the whole idea of it being different. Like when you watch SmackDown, when you watch Raw, you expect, different commentary.
Yeah,
because
you had
who's
that
on
contrast.
and it should be a slight contrast. So she should maybe try and bring her own thing to it. But as I said, I'm not really familiar with her announcing, so I don't know if that's what she's always done. It could be that she's being told from backstage, we want you to emulate Samantha.
Yeah.
Who knows? But let's good luck to her. Hopefully it all goes well. She didn't slip up with anything she said, so that's a great.
No, I think
start.
she's really good.
So well.
And Reece still on WWE now for the rest of the podcast, actually. For all
NXT.
these points. No. I was going to mention about USA Network, actually.
Yes, USA Network have extended their deal with Raw until the end of 2024, so that will cover the initial 3 months.
It was 3 months because it was
they
end
had
of
at the end
October
the
or
year
whatever. Yeah.
between
Netflix.
the USA Network contract expiring and then the move to Netflix. So
Now, on that point, I've got to say, I cannot wait for Netflix because this week, I think I mentioned to you before, I didn't watch Raw as a whole.
Yep.
I missed it and I watched bits and pieces. And I have to say, I think I'm not watching Raw just because there's just too much and the ads are killing me. The amount of ads in the show.
this is why
It
I've
is
started making sure I
ridiculous.
watch Raw after it starts.
Yeah, so you
like
can
I'll
skip
start
through.
like an hour and a
Oh,
half
so you can
after,
skip
so
it.
I can
Yeah.
skip ads. Because like when I used to watch it
Too
live,
much.
trying to work, it's just that's why I forget half the shit that happened on Raw because
Yeah.
like ads just like chew up.
And also what I find that I've been doing as well, because I skip through the ads, and I'm watching it on KO, I skip through the ads. Sometimes I'll miss a small backstage segment or a promo
Yep.
because I'll skip and it'll be like, oh, WrestleMania Las Vegas. I'm like, oh, right, now we're back to the wrestling. But there might have been something before that that I've missed because I've skipped too far.
Yep.
So I don't know.
I worked
Raw's
out a
just
good
too
system with
long
mine.
with the ads for me. At the
Because I
moment.
watch on KO.
Yeah.
I just click the remote like
You
5
do your 30
times.
seconds, 30 seconds, 30
Yeah.
seconds.
No, I click it 5 times and that does about 2.5 minutes, and then I'll just like click a
Yeah.
couple times just to see where it
Find the
comes out.
spot.
Like SmackDown for me this week, perfect length. The
We're not going back to 2-hour wrestling shows though, Ted. Sorry.
No, but man, it was so good. It's so good. But look, if Netflix take it and there's less ads,
Yeah.
I'm all for it. It's just the ads are killing me. They're absolutely killing me.
I will. One thing I'll touch on that too, in terms of the TV stuff that I want to praise AEW for again, was the way that they've done the last couple of weeks with their overruns. Again, this week we said that the overrun was for the hockey. And then last Saturday on Collision or whatever, they had the overrun because the NBA finals and stuff. That's why they gave Swerve his thing on Collision because there were more people. The last two ends of the show was the Elite and stuff coming out.
Yeah.
And then this week, essentially when Kenny had said during the night that, FTR is going to come out and confront you, the Elite didn't actually come out until the overrun.
Yeah.
So everything where they brought out the FTR, then they brought out Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson and stuff was on an overrun.
Yeah.
So they're doing a really good job of making sure, people that tune in to watch AEW stay around to the last second because something could happen at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And also people that tune in at, like we said, 10 o'clock to watch CSI Miami. Oh, this is an interesting that's happening. I'll watch this while I wait for my show to start.
Yeah.
Maybe that gets 5% of people, 2% of it, doesn't matter. It's someone
Something.
interested to watch wrestling. And you look
It's
at
a smart business move.
and you look at the opposite to what WWE's done the last couple of weeks. We actually both noticed it on watching the main events for both Raw and SmackDown. In the Raw one with the Gunther and Sheamus match,
As soon as that pin,
tap 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 finish,
Done.
show's over.
See you later. Yeah.
And then with SmackDown was the same thing. As soon as the AJ and
RKO
Randy
pin,
finished, it's over. So they're not using overruns in the same way. So they're not drawing extra eyes into it.
And like
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like you look at the two companies. Like WWE is so globally known. They don't need to try and implement business avenues like that to draw in new fans because word of mouth will just get them new views.
But I
Whereas
guess in-
AEW,
yeah.
like having that visual aspect of like last week you watched the massive brawl that happened. This week they did the same thing. They had another massive brawl in the overrun.
end, yep.
So it'll get the new eyes on that product and people might go, oh, this is interesting. Maybe I'll watch it next
Yeah, I
week.
agree.
But also, I don't think they necessarily need to do that at WWE because obviously, and we'll get to it a bit later about the King and Queen of the Ring. Because obviously the main events for both Raw and SmackDown, like as a wrestling fan, as soon as you saw them, you went, well, that's a pay-per-view match. I'm going to watch that because obviously you've got
some killer matches
you've
this
got
weekend.
Sheamus versus Gunther, and then you've got bloody Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. I mean, you don't need to have anything after those
Which
matches.
I forgot
is
that
the
happened
main
at
event.
WrestleMania 35.
Yeah. Yep.
Because they mentioned it in the lead up. I was like, oh,
Yep. And that's your two main events. So I think that's obviously what they used.
Yeah,
and
for
that's
sure.
why it was the last bit of the show because everyone wanted to hang around to just see those matches, and both were very good, and we'll get to them. But cool. It's good to know now that they've set what is actually going to happen. Obviously, it doesn't affect us here in Australia because we'll just see it on Binge or KO until it goes on Netflix anyway.
Yeah.
But obviously for those in the States, USA Network until the
I'm
end
very
of the
interested to see what Netflix. Obviously, you can see the end of the PG era and stuff, and
it's
the
coming.
start of
It's
the
done.
Logan Paul Levesque era.
I love that.
Such a good
love
line.
that so
That was
much.
so good. Yeah.
Um,
You're skipping ahead a bit. But that's
I
all
don't
right.
know, but like how that's now opened them up to be a bit more free on their language and a bit of blood and things like that. Netflix will give them a bit more of that capability.
Yeah.
I also really want to see if we're going to get the WWE Network again in Australia, where we just can go look at literally every match. Hopefully, they just give their entire
I really
catalog
miss
to
that.
Netflix.
I
and away
really
you
miss
go.
that sometimes. Just having
I just want to go back and
entire
watch
history of WWE at your fingertips.
NXT Takeover New York. Can I go
Oh,
watch
dude.
it again? It's so hard to find.
I want to see what it means for show timings now that it's on Netflix, because obviously on the networks there's an agreement to
Yep.
prime time, and on Netflix you don't necessarily need to do that because people can just watch it whenever. So there's not necessarily a demand that it has to be out at a certain prime time.
Yeah, okay.
If you know what I mean.
It's going to be very interesting to see how it adjusts.
Yeah, because I think that's what Triple H very much was sort of mentioning that when he was asked about the deal back at the PLE when they were talking about it, and he said, it opens the door for so many new things. So I think they are looking to, innovate and do different things. So
And like, how many
interesting to
people are
see.
going to see WWE Raw on Netflix?
Yeah,
When they're just trying to watch
That-
Stranger
like they
Things.
wouldn't normally see that if they're, because I know a lot of times these days people don't watch normal TV that much.
No.
Like especially in Australia, like we've got so many streaming services, people just solely do that and don't watch normal TV anymore.
Yeah.
So I wonder how many new eyes that's going to bring on the product. 'cause
Agree.
People
You-
that just use streaming services,
Yeah.
WWE Raw, let's check it out.
You watch The Rock turn up for the Netflix debut.
Something
It's going to
huge
happen
is
because
gonna
if you
happen.
put that on the headline when you go into Netflix and there's The Rock, everybody knows The Rock. He's a movie star.
Yeah.
There's people at my work that are absolutely not wrestling fans that are like, The Rock's around. Like, wrestling's kind of cool again, right? And I'm like, yeah. And by the time it hits Netflix, when everyone's got Netflix.
Is that where you plug the podcast as well?
Of course I do. That's why we get
Good
some
man.
extra subscribers. Make
Good
sure you
man.
like and subscribe down there.
And comment.
And comment. But once that happens, and people that would normally not really pay attention to it, but hearing through, WrestleMania was this big thing. They went to France. That was pretty cool. Logan Paul's the champion at SummerSlam, whatever. By the time Netflix rolls around and they're like going between Stranger Things to the next Harry Potter movie, like, hang on a minute, there's wrestling on there. I've been hearing about this
Just
for
give
6
it a
months.
go.
Let's just have a look.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. That's where it comes. Like I've touched on it before here. Like we've got someone going around on TikTok. They saw the videos of people reacting to Undertaker and Cody Rhodes finishing the story and seeing people post their boyfriends' reactions to that happening. And this person got interested enough. They're like, hey, what's this? I want to check it out. And now they're going back over WrestleMania past and like
Yeah.
checking
Yeah.
everything out. And like they watched WrestleMania 17 for the first time the other day.
What a triple threat
Right?
TLC match that was.
Exactly. Like
Oh, dude.
You
It
got-
is the OG.
Social media is so powerful now. Like having stuff like that happen, like WrestleMania 40 was huge, and everything that came from it,
Yeah.
it's garnered new attention.
Yeah.
Just through people
And
engaging
so
on
much
social
of
media.
attention on social media to our TikTok page that Reece runs. Make sure you go look at it. It's at
Yeah,
Down
man, I
Under the
post
Mat
some dumb
podcast.
shit.
What I'm
sometimes,
interested
but-
to see though is all this extra attention through Netflix and stuff is
Yeah.
because someone's going to try at
They're
some
going to
point.
pull the ratings.
No.
shit.
There's going to be some sort of cancel culture attempt at some point because we know what we're talking about with some stories and things that have happened in the past with, The Rock speaking Chinese and things like that where people are going
What
to
do
be
you mean,
like,
Katie
"Oh."
Vick?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how
Can't
that
cancel.
goes because, once again, it's people being characters and times have changed and I think wrestling has changed with it. But
Yeah.
super, super exciting. Before we're going to I want to try and keep all the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring and the show stuff together.
Okay.
So I'm going to go through some of these other ones really quickly first before we get into that. We mentioned about Jerry Lawler is
Yes.
off. He was apparently on a commentary contract, which I didn't even know. It was
Yeah,
reported
that's
that
ridiculous.
he's now just on a Legends contract, not a commentary contract. And again, it was when I read that story, I was like, didn't really know he was on a commentary
When was
contract.
the last time he was on commentary?
Yeah,
It was because
exactly.
he had the stroke.
Yeah.
He had a stroke a couple of years ago and then didn't really recover from it very well, and they've just never put him back on TV since. So
So they've kind of been looking after him by the sounds of it.
I
by
think
just
so.
keeping
Yeah.
that contract.
But also,
Okay.
like, again, he is one of those old school WWE types. And I think one of the comments I saw somewhere that said if he who should not be named was still in charge, the king is the kind of person that would have been kept, paid and
Yeah,
looked after
I
the
getcha.
entire time.
Yeah.
This new era is like, we appreciate you. Here's your Legends deal. We're not doing anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're getting money for that.
Yeah,
So
that's enough. It does open the door being on just a Legends deal that he might go somewhere else. I don't ever think he'll go to AEW. That'd be ridiculous. But
Didn't you say
make sense.
him and JR?
JR said that he would like to commentate
one last match.
one more match. I don't think that would be an AEW thing. But it might be like a
will it be at
Like a Ric Flair last
yeah, that
retirement
kind of
sort
a
of.
thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, would it be at the Pasano's restaurant?
throwing calzones at each other, just garlic breads left, right, and center.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
look, fine.
Yeah.
He's a legend. He needs to stay around for
Yeah.
those occasional times you bring him up at a pay per view or WrestleMania or something. You want to trot him out with the king and
Yeah.
show him, but
The next time they have a gimmick battle royal, and it'll be him and JR commentating instead of Bobby the Brain.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, that thing was fun, man. I
long
know
as
the
the
Iron
boogeyman
Sheik
wins
one,
it.
but it was fun.
Yeah, I know.
In some of the other news, you mentioned, Reece, as well, that Jacob Fatu's debut apparently was pulled back because they're
Yes.
worried that he'll overshadow.
And I sourced
Solo.
this, so it's not going to be another
LA
LA
Knight.
Knight getting married situation. It was
Yeah.
Tomato or barbecue.
reported by WrestleVotes.
He ignored your terrible joke, and I don't blame
I tried. I'm sorry.
So yes, apparently Jacob Fatu's debut has been pulled back because they believe he's going to overshadow Solo Sikoa. And if you have seen the rounds on social media of the highlight package of Jacob Fatu, that is a fair statement.
Yeah.
So, and I think that went into how Solo was presented on SmackDown
Yes,
this week as
for
well.
sure.
He was elevated
Big time.
compared to how he was last week, for sure.
And I like the way that they were doing this new Bloodline story. The first kind of week, Heyman was a bit lost. He didn't know what was happening when Solo got out of the car and stuff, and Solo was just angry at him. Now Solo's manipulating Heyman.
Yep.
And you can tell that, like, especially in this SmackDown where he was like, oh, you cost us, you cost money, you took money from me, you took food off my kid's table because you lied about Roman.
Yeah, because you pulled him. It
We
wasn't
weren't
Roman.
first draft pick, we went third round. That's your fault. You lied. But I have spoken to Roman. I bet you he hasn't spoken to Roman.
No,
Probably not.
yeah.
Roman's going to come back and say neither of you have spoken to me, and he's going
Yeah.
to play the big baby face. But I love the fact that that's Solo manipulating Heyman now.
Heyman's
Yeah.
reaction from that as well. He's so goddamn
So
good.
The only thing that wasn't good was
Oh,
Dan, you
oh,
mentioned
We got Def Rebelled.
Tama Tonga has been Def
Look.
Rebelled.
Look, his entrance aura, amazing.
Awesome.
Off the charts. For a guy to come in who's never stepped foot in WWE until the last month
Yeah.
and get presented like that.
Oh,
Aura.
so good.
I mean, he's like solo.
Theme music, though?
Yeah. Oh, dude, the fact I mentioned this before we came on air. The fact that the drums in the music sound like the Casio, like backing track, Casio keyboard. Come on, man. But like the actual like the video and the flames and
You
everything else
watch-
looks great. But
If Jim Johnson had been around, he would have done that on real drums.
yeah, he probably would have.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
He probably would have.
Real drums.
I
Real
look. I
glass.
like the way they presented him. I wasn't sold on Tamatonga's finisher being the
Flatliner,
which is also what did Shelton Benjamin used to call it.
golden standard.
I don't think that was the golden standard, was it?
I don't know.
There's a couple of them that do the
But yeah,
same move.
just Flatliner. I was a bit shocked. But like the way he kicked off that match, that he was just sort of like bell rung and he just like switched.
Snaps in, yeah.
Went mental. And then like once the guy was on the floor, who was he first?
I can't remember now.
It was Dawkins.
Yeah, it was
Dawkins.
Dawkins.
Yeah,
it
that's
was
right.
Angelo.
'Cause it was
yeah.
Bobby
That's why I
Kabonga.
forgot.
Yeah, because they took out.
Yeah, like he
Montez.
got Dawkins on the mat and then he just like slowly sauntered.
Yeah.
around
No,
the
during
ring.
the match they took out.
Oh, yeah,
Montez,
yeah, that's right.
And that's
Yeah.
what distracted Angelo. And
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yes.
they did a very good job of presenting him well in his first singles match.
yes.
And Camacho's much better in the bloodline than he was riding around bikes.
Camacho. Oh, jeez.
Because they've confirmed he's now called Tongaloa, not
Yeah.
Tangaloa.
Tonga.
Well, didn't they copyright Tonga
They
and Tonga?
copyrighted both,
Yeah.
but on the graphic it was Tongaloa.
So that matches with Tama Tonga, so they can be
Yeah, because the
Tama
brother
Tonga
thing
Loa.
makes sense.
Sure.
Tonga.
TTL, Tama Tonga Loa.
We still haven't worked out what MFT stands for either, have we?
I fucking tried.
That's pretty cool.
That's not bad.
Other bit of news that you brought up was Asuka's injured.
Yeah, she's out injured, but she's apparently been working injured for, I think, a couple months now.
They,
Yeah.
they
Just been
pulled her
working
from
through
the
it.
tournament, didn't they?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why
they did,
Dakota
yeah.
Kai got in. So she
Oh,
took-
that's right. That stop from
Asuka's work.
Dakota Kai too was sick.
Yeah.
Through the
Very good.
ropes. And, that was a good move.
But yeah, so
She does make a good heel. I got to give you guys that. She makes a very good heel.
Yes. Asuka's been working injured for a fair few weeks now, and Nia Jax even came out on social media and gave her flowers as well. The fact that she's been pushing through it just to sort of wrap up this storyline that's been ongoing for the past few months with Bayley.
Yeah. Strong style, baby.
Yeah, good on her.
I sort of thought something was up.
Speedy recovery.
I thought something was up because she's taken very much a back seat for a long time now. But yeah, hopefully she can go away, get better, come back.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get on to some of the bits from the shows, mainly King and Queen of the Ring, but one of the bits...
Before we touch on King and Queen of the Ring, can I touch on the bracket for the NXT North American Women's Championship? Quickly? Just so it can, because it's a bracket-related tournament, and then it can lead into the King and Queen of the Ring stuff.
And this is the part where, Ted, I need you to tell me if you know more than 2 of the wrestlers that are in this bracket.
Yeah, because you bet that I wouldn't. How much did you bet on it?
$10.
You put $10 on it. All right.
So I know that you'll know at least one of them.
Yes.
Okay.
2.
Let's go through it.
All right, so apart from the 2 that
How do I prove that whether or not I know them?
I will say their name and you'll be like, oh, okay.
Yep.
So NXT did a women's combine to determine the 12 competitors.
around the NFL draft, I see what they're doing. Yep.
Yeah.
Don't be so dismissive of
I'm
it.
not. I'm just
So
saying.
the 12 women that made it through to the 6 matches, 2 have been announced already.
Yeah. Which leads to a 6-person ladder match. at the
Correct.
end.
Yeah.
We've got Sol Ruka, Thea Hale, Jada Parker, Brinley Reece, Mi Chin.
I know Mitch.
There's your first one.
Mia Yim. She used to be known as Mia Yim.
We got one.
Fallon Henley, Lash Legend.
I know Lash Legend.
Here we go. That's 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to get one more though, because you said more than
Yeah.
2. Yeah.
Ivy Nile,
Oh no! Ivy Nile,
she's in the damn it.
$10. Get your $10 out, Dan.
Izzy Dame, Kalani Jordan, Tatum Paxley, and Ren Sinclair. And the first 2 matches that have been announced are Sol Ruka
was
versus
literally only
Izzy
3 I
Dame.
knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Lash Legend versus Ivy Nile. So they will be on NXT
Sol
this week.
Ruka is the one that that does that off the ropes backwards cutter.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
you see
Pretty
going
okay.
around everywhere. It looks sick. It's
Right,
a great.
okay.
So that's going to be really good. They've got a few other. So the 12 women that have been announced, there's some really intertwined stories between all of them. I'd say we're either going to get those storylines working during the qualifying, or they'll be in the matches and have confrontation.
And then those that maybe don't qualify through, then have their storylines go back to NXT and through normal stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
through normal storylines. So we've only got 2 out of the 6 matches announced so far, and they're on NXT this week. So
Okay. Very cool.
good going there.
All right, well, back up to the
Yes.
main roster.
The main
as they call it.
bracket.
That's right. I've
So
got
first
the-
of all, I
the
need to
main bracket.
mention, I've never been to Hartford, Connecticut. I don't know anyone from Hartford, Connecticut.
CM Punk got stuck in the building in Hartford, Connecticut.
Yeah,
for
he
the
did.
entire
Stuck
weekend.
in the building.
Not only that, he got stuck in a building with a boring crowd. Just going to put it out there. I'm sorry. I know you were the first crowd after Lyon, but pick your game up, man. America, you need to pick your game
They
up.
did though by SmackDown when they were singing Randy Orton's music.
Yeah, they
gave
picked
it a
up
crack.
by then.
They
picked
tried.
up
They
by
tried.
then. Yeah.
That's right.
No, but they were better. SmackDown was good. Like SmackDown was, I looked at that and went, that needs to be the minimum for a wrestling show. So I hope
Leon definitely raised the bar.
Oh, 100%, man. And they keep mentioning them on commentary, which I love. They keep saying about France has set the bar. So keep going with that. But yeah, CM Punk, his promo about Drew McIntyre. So obviously Drew left in the car. CM Punk arrived just right behind him in his car, went out, cut a promo. Seemed to fall a bit flat.
Yep, it did. And it's kind of weird that if I had a nickel for every time CM Punk cut a promo about someone who had left an arena and went shop,
You'd
I'd have
4
2 nickels.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird that it happened twice.
Yeah, right.
This is what we said on the pod last.
Very failed attempt at quoting a meme. So.
It was pretty bad. I think we said it on the
Better than
pod
a draft
last
comment.
week or something where I was worried that they have to draw this out for too long because of their injuries. Yep. This is that part where we're starting to get a little bit bored of he says, then he says, then he says.
I do think they're at a point now, though, where there's enough going on where you could literally just take them off TV
do
for a
that
couple
then.
of weeks.
Take him off TV for a couple of weeks because that was
and just let us want it and go, well, where are they?
like
where
look,
are they?
Look what happened last week. We were hot for that
And
interaction.
this week was a shit follow up.
And then there was a bad follow up. So just give
Get
it a
him
couple of weeks
get
to
him to do
breathe.
social media stuff, man. Like Drew with his sitting at the sitting at the desk,
writing CM Punk sucks.
Did you hear what was playing in the background?
Was it called a personality?
No.
What?
It was that Eminem song.
Oh yeah, because he was writing the
Yeah.
like Stan. Yeah.
Stan, that's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they need to take him off TV for a bit because it's pretty obvious that. I mean, I know you think that Drew's legit injured. I think it's only a minor injury, and I think
it's
he
not
was,
one that's going to have surgery.
No.
So it's probably just.
And I think he was pulled from.
Remember when we were talking about MJF? We were like, "What's PT? Physical therapy."
Oh, there you go.
Oh, it's a
He's
callback
probably
last
just
week.
doing
Well done.
physical therapy.
I think he was pulled from King of the Ring to try and keep CM Punk and his story away from that tournament.
yeah.
Because it would have been too. Because if Drew's in there,
It
you
would
would
have
have
been
to
too
assume
obvious.
that CM
Yeah.
Punk
Has
would
to
go
cost
in
us.
and double cross him. So
Yep.
I think they're trying to keep it away from that. But yeah, I think they need to keep him off TV for a couple of weeks because it's sort of hit a bit of a flat line at the moment. Flat line?
Fallon, Tamatonga, hey?
Tamatonga. All right, so
We'd finish on.
talking about King and Queen of the Ring, obviously it's going to be in Saudi Arabia.
2 weeks from today.
Yeah, which is not that far away. We've still got some first round matches to happen. We've had a few already go through. You've got it saved.
Yeah, I've
there,
got the
haven't
bracket.
you, Reece,
So
as to what we've had
Go
so
through
far.
the women's bracket and then I'll go through the men's bracket. So this is from the matches that have already happened this week. So we're looking at the card for the next week or two
Yep.
for the next set of
So
qualifying
there's
matches.
2 shows now before the pay-per-view.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to have just the finals on.
Yes.
the
correct.
Yeah, it will
With
be.
how they're
It
building
will
it, they're
be,
just going to
yeah.
do the
I
final.
did kind of want a double, but then I realized
Oh,
that,
wait, no.
It'd be too many matches. It'd be too many matches.
No,
on the
you're
card.
right, yeah, because they've
Yeah.
got the quarterfinals.
well, it's the semis
it'd
on
be-
each
it'd be-
side.
Yeah, no, maybe it will be the semis by then.
It'd be 4 matches just for finalizing the King of the Ring tournament on
3.
the card.
It'd be 6. Because you'd have your 2 semis and then the 2 finals. So it's 1, 2, and then 1 for each bracket. So it's 3
Yeah.
and then 3.
Yeah,
so it'd,
okay.
it'd
Yeah.
be 6 matches on the card. If you were to, so you got your top 4 or whatever, right?
No, I was thinking they do the match to crown the Raw side and the match to crown the SmackDown side.
Yeah.
And then the...
And then the
Oh,
match.
yeah, 6. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
bad at maths.
There's the
No,
maths.
there we
Comes
go.
along. There we
Quick
go.
maths. Quick maths.
Anyway, so next week and potentially the week after, we're going to have Jade Cargill versus Nia Jax.
Yep.
We're going to have Bianca Belair versus Tiffany Stratton.
Before you move on from that, I just want to comment on how good that Jade Cargill and Piper Niven match was.
Phenomenal.
very
Really
good.
well done. And the fact that
They
like
both looked strong.
they looked
in
great
that
in
match.
it. And they tried where she went for the jaded, and the commentator's like, "Oh, there's no way she
Yeah.
can do that. She can't get that done." And then she finishes with the jaded,
Yeah.
and all that's going to do is
And it
just
looked like a really good Jaded as
it
well.
was. You've done that to Piper now. What are you going
Yeah.
to do next week?
Do it tonight. Can I just say, I think Piper Niven is very underrated.
Absolutely.
Yes.
She was very good in that match.
Her and Chelsea are fantastic. I really like
Keep them together, man.
Please.
Keep them together. Even if you keep Chelsea as more in the managerial role and have Piper wrestling, it was so good. Especially when Chelsea came up with the I didn't give permission for my pictures to be used or televised and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely brilliant. She's amazing.
So we've also got Bianca Belair and versus Tiffany Stratton, and that's the SmackDown side of the bracket.
Well, we don't know that that's the case.
No,
yet.
we do. Tiffy
no,
won.
we do. She won.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Sorry, I missed that.
So her and LA Knight advanced yesterday
yep.
Yes.
on the house show, and we've got Shayna Baszler versus Zelina Vega and Kofi Kingston versus Rey Mysterio today. So
Sorry, we're just looking at the screen because there was a bit of a flicker. We all
Yes.
having a look. Oh! We don't want any more.
that's your SmackDown side of the bracket. I think that both Jade and Bianca will be cost the victories because they both versed women in tag teams last
Yep.
week, and it will lead to the next couple of months of feuds for them.
And also the fact that Jade's selling her back, Bianca's selling a knee. There's excuses for them
Like
not
you've
going through.
got a couple different ways to
can't-
give them losses, but not have them look like they've been done over
You
hard.
can't have Jade lose though. Even if it's Tanaya, you can't. The way
if it's a dodgy
Jade,
match and she's cost the victory from outside
yeah, but
interference,
it's still a pinfall. You can't have Nia.
No, but
Jax
it
get
doesn't have to be a
free count.
pinfall.
be a
It could be a disqualification. It could be a count
Yeah,
out.
it has to be. It has to be a disqualification.
Yeah.
You
it
can't.
Could be,
you
a
can't
count
have
out.
Jade on her back, no matter how you want to book
Yeah.
this. She cannot lose.
My thing is, you made a comment that these tournaments should be to elevate people to the main event. Why would they have Bianca or Jade advance to the final and potentially win if you want to elevate other talent into the main event? And that's why I'm setting so hard on them both
Yeah.
not advancing past the next round.
And I think it's too early to pull the trigger on Bianca versus Jade.
Agree.
Yes,
You've got to
correct.
let it ride out a little bit
Because then that's
more.
going to be the final of the SmackDown bracket to
Yeah.
see who advances.
So
to
that
the-
means
the
that
final.
Piper and or Chelsea costs her against Nia.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then because Bianca defeated Candice Candice and Indy can cost Bianca the match.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And then you've
And
got
then that
those
set
two
up some
tag teams.
yeah,
with
exactly.
them. You could do a triple
that's-
threat. You
makes
could
sense.
And then you got
spread that
Tiffy
out.
versus Nia for the first semi-final.
Which is like Tiffy's playing a heel, but she'll be the crowd favorite, so you can play
Yeah.
off that.
and then
you have
who
your
wins?
heel face.
Go to the Raw bracket for
So
me.
the Raw bracket, we've got Lyra versus Zoe Stark confirmed, and Io Sky versus the winner of Shayna and Zelina. Being that Io Sky is a heel, I suspect Zelina is going through, but these guys think Shayna Baszler will advance.
I can see your logic.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Does that then lead us to? But the problem is, like, this has to lead us to a pay-per-view match,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, so this will be.
Because
I'd
I was
say-
thinking it should be like Lyra Valkyria versus Tiffany Stratton is the best match, I think, out of all of that. But I'm not putting that match on Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia because I don't think they're going to give a shit. It's probably Io and Nia then. But also,
But then it's heel versus heel again,
Correct.
which doesn't make sense, does it?
so maybe Bianca sneaks through
Maybe. Or does Jade sneak through? One of them. Maybe just one of them.
because the person has to get
I mean, let's
Queen
look,
of the Ring in Saudi Arabia. So who is
Yeah.
that Saudi crowd, which we know
Maybe
spends
Bianca
big
gets
money.
screwed over. I was thinking about this while you were talking
Here's
about
my
it.
thing. Like I stated off air, we need heels to be King and Queen of the Ring because faces just
Yeah.
don't work well.
Yeah,
Look at what
but
happened
Jade
with King.
can't lose
It was
again.
okay. It was cool, but like you look at like a King Sheamus, a
I
King
think it should be
Barrett, a
Nia.
King Booker.
Yeah.
Like
Nia's my Nia.
when heel characters get that, they can play off that royalty aspect
Yeah.
and build better storylines from that.
And I'm all for Tiffy in the bank. That's
Tiffy in the
my
bank.
money. Is
Queen
Tiffy in the
Tiffy
bank?
would be fantastic. Queen Tiffy in the bank. I would.
We're not doubling
pop
down
hard.
here.
I mean,
I
really,
know, I
really,
know.
Queen Nia makes more sense because she
Yes.
keeps being the bridesmaid, not the bride, right? She's always just missing out.
I think that's
So-
a good way to give her props, but not give her a title.
So, but then who does she beat? Just like Lyra Valkyria versus Nia Jax sell you on a pay per view?
Like that's the thing. Do you want to put Zelina back in the final and have her just
She
get
would get
absolutely
squashed.
demolished?
In this case,
But,
I think
have
it
Nia
might be
go over convincingly and have her look like an
Yeah.
intensely credible threat to the rest of the roster.
I have a feeling from what you're telling me, it might be Lara going through against Nia. Try and build her up
Maybe.
and have a great match against Nia,
that's
and
your
then
elevating to the main event.
correct, and then Nia gets a win because she has to, but it also doesn't like put anyone down because Lara's only just
She's
come
only
up.
just come up.
Lyra or Lyra?
Lyra.
Lyra, sorry, Lyra's only just come up from NXT.
Yeah.
So I think that would
And
be
she's already getting the rub from Becky and stuff
Yeah.
on Raw
correct.
anyway.
Yeah.
So
I think that's my guess. It's going to be Lyra versus Nia in the final. Nia goes over as Queen of the Ring. Is my
I'm all
my-
good for that.
My,
Yeah.
my guess.
All right, moving on to the men's bracket.
Yep.
On the SmackDown side, we have Carmelo Hayes versus Randy Orton. That's gonna. Carmelo and Baron had a fantastic.
That was a good
They
match.
did.
I
It was a very
love
good
that.
match.
so was Randy and AJ.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. Two great matches.
Carmelo and Randy Orton, they're gonna have a great match.
Yep.
We also have Tama Tonga versus LA Knight.
Yep.
So we did see a promo on SmackDown.
From
Randy
Randy.
calling out Tama Tonga, so we have all already assumed that that's going to be the final.
Yep.
Randy
As soon as
versus
that
Tama.
promo happened.
Well, the final for Raw.
SmackDown.
For
So SmackDown, sorry.
So
Yeah,
that's,
will
that'll
be
be the final
semi-final.
bracket
Yep.
for SmackDown.
Which means Randy goes through.
But yes, it's probably a good
Because I don't
thing because the Raw side, Jey Uso versus Ilya Dragunov,
Ilya.
that's going to be a great match. No, what?
Dude,
Are
I
you
don't.
really
I
gonna
don't
gi-
think he's going to go
you-
over Jay at the moment. I'm agreeing with him. I don't think
is he
will.
really going to go over Jey?
I suppose.
Yeah,
don't
I know.
think he will.
Like you want
I
to
don't
see
think
it.
he will.
I want to
wanna
see
s-
Gunther
I
Ilya.
want to see it
I
as
don't
well
want to see Jay
because
Gunther.
we haven't seen it since we haven't seen it since Pandemic era.
Controversial opinion, and I've said this on a few different wrestling things online this week that people have been saying about how Jey Uso is like the most over wrestler and everything. He's now the face of Raw and stuff. I think I said on a couple of things, and it's probably not just me that's saying it. Jey Uso is the most over wrestler on Raw. And then the bell rings,
Yep.
and no one cares. So
Yep.
we love his entrance. We love
fun.
this.
Yeah.
We
Love his
he's just great.
character.
We love all of that.
Yeah.
But then as soon as he starts super kicking everyone for 13 minutes, we don't give a shit. He sucks.
He needs some wrestling moves, man. DDT some people.
Do
Cut
something.
some suplexes.
He's just,
I don't know.
Yeah. I look,
Yeah, no, I thought the exact same thing. I know we discussed this before we came in because I actually was watching and I thought the exact same thing in that Damian Priest title match. I was like,
Yeah.
Damian looks good. Jay's just kind of, I don't know, guys, if you guys know the term also ran. It's usually used in horse racing. So if a horse comes like dead last,
Of course, I'm not going to know that term.
well, he's an also ran is the best way to put it. He's not performing. Like he was in the match,
yeah.
But he didn't do much.
didn't do much.
So yeah, Jay versus Ilya. We expect Jay to move on.
Yeah,
and
sadly.
then Gunther versus the winner of Kofi versus Ray. Which
Do you mean the
Thanks,
as
Pat.
Pat McAfee would say?
So honestly, you could have Kofi or Ray go.
It'd be
over.
Kofi because
I
of
don't
the
care.
story with
Yeah.
Xavier Woods.
Yep, that
I
makes
don't
sense.
care because Gunther's going to go through the final. He's.
Gunther's chopping his way through.
I want
Yeah.
to throw a spanner in the works.
Yep.
Gunther versus Randy in the final is kind of what we expect at the moment, right?
Yep.
I would say
say
so.
so. That makes sense.
What if they have Tama Tonga versus Jey Uso in the final to
Nah,
start
no,
working on that
Oh.
blood?
I don't want the bloodline story in this tournament.
And that's this
Nah.
is not my theory. I've seen it put out there already. I don't think you should be having that
No.
be a pinnacle of a tournament.
Mate,
So-
you imagine Gunther turning up in Berlin as the King General Gunther.
Oh, King Gunther is the best.
King
the,
Gunther.
The story that this plays out on that SmackDown side is you've got Tama Tonga beating LA Knight, assumedly, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We have,
And then he'll face Randy Orton.
which is in about 3 weeks after when Tama Tonga injured Kevin Owens and took
So
him off TV.
Kevin Owens will make the return next.
Yeah.
the week
and
after.
cost Tama Tonga in some way.
Yeah.
Randy goes
That
through.
way it's not
Also,
like a clean loss.
and
It's
also,
in
let's be honest, in
interference.
Saudi, they are very much, they want wrestlers that they've heard of.
Yeah.
And if
Randy,
they're
it's
already
Randy.
doing Lyra, sorry, I get it right, Lyra versus Nia, they're probably going to be like, well, we need to have Randy versus Gunther because it needs to be something that everyone goes, oh, we know them. Hey. No offense
And
to
can you
Lyra.
imagine Gunther's entrance once he's king?
Oh,
And
dude.
just taking the cape
But
off?
don't change the music.
Don't
not
Jeff
change
Williams.
it.
Don't do it.
I said this
do
to
it.
Ted on the cast before we started. I was like, what do you reckon the chances are that they're going to give him the royal music makeover?
I really hope they don't.
I don't
Yeah,
think they need to
don't.
with the music that he's got.
Give
to be
him
honest.
his big robe back and stuff. That's fine, and go back to doing the swirl takeoff with
Yeah.
Kaiser. But
gonna be
don't
so
change the music. All right, so you agree with me though? More than likely Gunther versus Randy. Gunther wins.
Yep.
But I could see Tama versus Jay happening.
I
get
don't
what you're
want it
saying.
to
I get
happen.
what
I
you're
don't
saying.
think that storyline
Yeah.
needs to happen just yet.
I don't think that storyline
I don't know
should
how
happen.
long Jimmy's going to be
That's-
out. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Jimmy, Roman, Jacob, don't know like when Jacob's debut and don't know when Roman and Jimmy are back. It'd be stupid to have that interaction.
Yeah.
Before they're
if
all ready.
Jay
But
doesn't
this
have
is good.
backup.
This is good for Jimmy because Jimmy was getting hot again. Now he's gone away. We all miss
He'll
him.
come back.
We all
babyface.
miss it. He's going to come
Easy.
back, and everyone's going to pop hard for him. So, last bit of news, and it is a bit of a longer podcast than I thought it was going to be, but that's absolutely fine because all great topics that we're talking about today. Our main event in Saudi Arabia. Well, we assume it's going to be the main event for the title.
Is
yeah.
Liv Morgan versus Becky Lynch.
Correct. No, we're talking about Cody Rhodes versus Logan
Could
Paul.
you imagine though, the first ever women's main event in Saudi Arabia?
It'll happen,
It'll happen eventually.
and it
but
probably
it's-
will be
Should
Rhea
have done that with Mummy.
It would have to be Rhea for sure.
next year, mate. Next year. But yeah, we got Cody versus Logan. So Logan has been announced as the next challenger by Nick Aldis. I'm pretty excited for this, guys. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty
seen
excited.
so many people get fired up in a negative way about Logan Paul getting put into this match, and I like your point. Who else is it going to be? Everyone else is in the King of the Ring tournament.
Yeah. Who else could
But
it be?
like all of Logan's possible opponents for the US title are in the
also
tournament.
in it.
Yeah.
All of Cody's opponents are in the tournament.
Yeah.
So why would you have a crappy storyline with Cody versus Ricochet?
Yeah.
Whatever. Just because that's, like, we'll just give them the month for it. No
Yeah.
one cares.
Yeah.
You get the two
This
champions
is actually going to
that
get eyes
are
on
going
the
to put
product
a
and
real
interest.
good match on.
Yeah.
Like you said, Ted, this finally gives someone for Cody to talk against.
Yes.
Because Logan shit talks and can cut a decent promo.
That was
Yes.
a good promo. on
It
SmackDown
was. It was
between
very
them.
good.
And and we've all said this, that Logan Paul is better in the ring than we've all given him credit for the last couple of years.
That last match he
This-
had with Roman in Saudi Arabia, man. Remember that for the title?
Yep.
Like
No.
that was
No.
incredible. Now he's going to do it with
I've
Cody.
seen it.
You should probably
You
watch
should
it.
you should watch that.
I might.
No, I'm super
be a
keen
great
for
match.
it. I
Yeah.
do hope though. I really hope it's only for the WWE title.
I don't want Cody to be a double
Well, it
champ.
shouldn't
No,
be.
it- like,
why
even
would
if-
he want the US title? He's the champion. Why would he want?
Because he's not Grand Slam champion.
I think they've already said that
all
it's
he
going to be
needs.
title for title.
It shouldn't
Like
be.
they've already
shouldn't
said
be.
on
Yeah.
commentary, they've.
But if that's the
It
case,
has not been confirmed yet. Contract signing has not taken place yet, so
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
If that's the case,
If it
I don't
happens,
want,
it's not going to be a clean finish. There's going to be disqualification, no title to change.
well, I don't want Logan to drop the US title before SummerSlam. He needs that title to go into Cleveland, which is his hometown.
Yeah,
at
100%.
He has to have that.
Yeah.
Cody, we don't want to drop the title anytime soon either.
Nope.
I know Cody needs to win the US title to become a Grand Slam champion,
Doesn't need to do it, though.
but he doesn't
No.
need to do it now.
No. He's the man who ended Roman's reign. Does he really need to be a Grand Slam champion?
Yeah, well, not yet.
Not yet. No,
So
no.
I think that this has to
It
just
is-
be for Cody's title.
Yes.
It is-
I agree.
Even if they do make it title for title, if that gets finalized, it's not going to be a clean finish. No titles are going to change hands. I mark my words. It
Oh,
will
for
not
sure.
happen.
Yeah, but you can't have the main event of the pay-per-view in Saudi
Maybe it won't be the
have a
main event.
shady finish.
Yeah, I mean that's a
Or
point.
maybe
It
maybe
could
the
be
King of the Ring
final,
finals.
the King of the Ring
Yeah.
is, and this
Yeah.
might be the opener. But I think this is where
No
you need to just have another banger of a match. Let him go for it. I do think Cody needs to win clean because at the end of the day, like Logan won't lose anything because if they have a banger of a match, he's still going to look fantastic like he always does.
Yeah,
and
always.
Cody's the WWE champion who took out the Bloodline. So at the end of the day, he has to win.
Yep.
Right? He's got to. It doesn't make any other sense any other way. And I just don't think there's any need for the US title to be on the line. It should just be for
Agreed.
the WWE title.
So we're not. Spoiler alert for everybody. We're not recording next week because we've got other commitments on. So this will be our last podcast before King of the Ring.
Yeah.
Let's just confirm what all of our picks are to win everything. So we've got
Nia Jax. the
Becky.
queen of the
Becky.
ring. Oh,
Settle down. Let's settle down. Becky versus Liv.
Becky. Liv's not getting the title yet. She's not winning overseas. She'll win.
I
on US
actually had to
soil.
think about this after seeing Liv's promo where she says, I want to take everything from Rhea.
Yeah.
I feel like she should win the title off Rhea. So
No,
Rhea
I
should
think
come back and have it and then Liv win it off her, but that means a really short reign too. So
I think Liv needs to take everything before Mummy comes back. So when Mummy comes back, Liv has Judgment Day. She has Dom and she has her title.
no,
So-
I don't think she have Dom yet. I feel like
They'll drag that out.
No,
They'll
but that's what
drag
I'm
that out a
saying.
bit,
That's what I'm
but
saying. She
she'll
won't
have
win.
the
title.
She won't win this
SummerSlam.
one, but I think she'll have to have
She
all
will win
those
the title.
before Rhea does come back.
I
So I'll say
suspect
Becky.
They may potentially build to Liv versus Becky at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
She'll win there, and then that's enough time for Rhea to heal a bit, and then
Yep.
maybe Rhea makes a return.
And it's
after
been more
Liv's got
Dom
the title.
storyline in between as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're all Becky.
Yeah.
Yep,
Becky
I agree with that.
retains.
Cody Logan.
Cody.
Cody, as long as it's just for that title.
Yep.
King of the Ring.
Gunther.
Gunther going over Randy.
The King General.
Is all of our picks.
Gunther over Randy.
And then the Queen of the Ring is Nia
Nia over Lyra.
over Lyra.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else announced?
No,
Nothing confirmed
that's
yet.
that's all that is confirmed. I'm sure there'll be probably a tag match of some kind, probably on the show.
Well, given the Bloodline's not going through in the tournament, maybe they'll do something.
But if Randy-
maybe it'll just be a singles match between
Like
Tama and
versus,
KO.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
But then why would
I don't know.
KO pick a match against the Bloodline that has 4 people or whatever when Randy's in a different match? It's probably.
But he'll still be there.
You've also got
don't
no. Oh
know.
no, we've got the other one, Sammy.
Oh yeah,
Bronson
Sammy,
and
Bronson and
Chad.
Well, you know what? Considering
retaining.
we're not going to be able to do the podcast next week, maybe we're going to have to do a couple of cheeky TikToks, shorts, of predictions once matches have been announced. Rowdy, we might have to leave it on your
That's
shoulders.
five
good sir.
matches.
Yeah.
There's already 5 matches announced. That's the Triple H.
I reckon there'll be at least
pay-per-view.
1 or 2 more. There's got to be a tag match on there somewhere because you've got 2 different sets of tag belts. Something's got to be defended, surely.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah, maybe. Which would have
Yeah,
been
let's see what happens with Braun Breaker and his
Yeah,
conversation
good
with Adam
point.
Pearce.
Good point.
because I reckon
Wolf Dogs, baby.
Wolf
Wolf
Dogs.
Dogs, they're coming back.
I'm so keen for him.
In pog form.
I'm so happy to see Baron Corbin back in the ring. He's so good.
He was so good on SmackDown.
He was so
dude.
good, man. Like, I'm so glad
Do you know
he's
what
back.
was also a really cool point? Lockie came out yesterday when I was watching it,
Yeah.
and he walked in and goes, "Oh, Baron Corbin's back on SmackDown. I like him."
Yeah. Dude, Baron's
My
awesome.
man, my man.
Baron's awesome.
I've always been a fan of Baron Corbin, even through the Happy Corbin days,
I like
even
his
through the
promo.
retiring Kurt Angle days. Loved
I
it.
like his promo where he said, I'm back now because I've refound myself. I'm not sure if when I was happy, when I was sad, when I was king, when I was this. Now I'm just Baron Corbin."
Yeah.
yeah.
He's burned the ships,
Yeah.
man. He's burned the ships to his past. No more Lone Wolf either. That's
Yeah,
that's,
I know.
that's
I
because
love
he's a
it,
wolf
but it's
dog.
part of
that
the
was
past.
part of the
It's part
shtick.
past.
That was
Nah,
part of the
let
shtick.
him-
He burned the ships.
They
leading
need
his
to
past.
beat Awesome Truth, and then they need to just go on a mad run
Yep.
of tag
100%.
titles, just destroying
Because
people.
one thing I noticed, Awesome Truth have not put side plates on their titles yet, so they're dropping them sometime soon for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Not a bad idea. 'Cause
I know-
it's gotten a bit.
Wolf dogs.
It's gotten a bit stale now.
But
The
like-
whole R-Truth stuff. It's a bit stale.
Yes.
It's a bit stale.
But you have the comedic aspect of the wolf dogs, which is so much better.
It's funnier.
It's so much better.
But also, they're legit wrestling. They're kind of like the Kurt Angle, right? In sense of lots of funny stuff, but when they get in the ring, damn, they look good. You know, they'll
The
have a
problem
great
you've got
wrestling
is the
match.
Triple H and everyone thinks Bron's a single superstar, which he will be.
Yeah.
But you don't like.
Yeah, but there's no room
There's
for him yet.
exactly.
There's no room.
Damien and the Judgment Day are still doing their thing with everything. I don't think you put Bron against him. You don't put him to take on Sammy because there's
Yeah.
still much stuff in that Intercontinental title. Give him the tag titles.
Yeah.
Give him a run with that.
No,
Build
that
him up.
sounds good.
Then have them split up and have their big match, and
Yeah.
then throw Bron to whoever the world champion is at the time.
Yeah. Sounds good. Let us know what you think at home. Make sure you comment. As Dan says, comment. Let us know all your thoughts about what we discussed today. Like, share, and subscribe as well. Check us out on TikTok with Rowdy. Check us out on... we'll get them uploaded to Spotify. We're a bit...
Yeah, we forgot to do the last couple of
That's
ones.
all right. I don't think I actually...
You haven't
changed it to
given me the
audio,
files.
so you need to chase me up and remind me, bro.
These
It's
slackers
terrible.
over here, man.
Slack
They're
as hell.
slaving away
But
on
check us out on
TikTok.
Spotify. We get it up there as well. Make sure you give us a like, share, subscribe. I already said that, but I'm going to say it again. Thank you so much for those of you who have tuned in and listened to us. Thank you, Mr. Daniel Danielson. Thank you, Rowdy Reece. I'm
Ted.
Booker Ted. Madison Square Garage, pool table of relevancy. We'll see you next time. Scissor me, Teddy! Oh, it's back! Woo!